Mostly cloudy night. Temperatures very pleasant as you look into Mount Adams. And now we bring you into downtown Cincinnati, the Great American Ballpark. 2 more games to go on the home slate here in 2012, and the final 2 will be played against the Milwaukee Brewers. And hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds Baseball here on Fox Sports Ohio. Well, after the win last night, coupled with the Washington Nationals loss, those 2 teams are tied for the best record in the National League. They're tied for the best record in the Major League. So the race is indeed on with 8 games to go as to who will be the #1 seed in the National League postseason.
Well, you're right about that, Tom. And the Reds, I know, would like to be that #1 seed, and it's certainly within their range right now. All they've got to do is continue to play good baseball like they did last night. You know, it was a desperate win game for the Milwaukee Brewers last night, but it didn't happen. But if you want to win and be the #1 seed, it does give you the advantage of playing that wild card team that would have presumably used up the best pitcher in the game before, and you go in there with your ability to set your rotation, rest your guys, and hopefully get them going in the right way. The Reds have done really a great reason. They've got great reasons for their record this year. Number one, they've taken care of business in the Central Division. Best record in all of baseball in their own division. They win at home, and I think what's even more important than that is that they win the one-run games. Their airtight bullpen gives them a chance to stay in games, but also not lose late games. And you lose a late ball game, and you blow a game and a save, that kind of thing, that's the kind of loss that just tears the soul right out of a ball club.
And, of course, the one thing they've been able to count on outside of that bullpen, especially here over the second half, is one rock-solid starting rotation. And perhaps the biggest bounce-back year of them all belongs to that man who gets the ball tonight. Bronson Arroyo. We'll talk about his recent run when we return.
Is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, another mostly cloudy, at times rainy day today, but what about tonight? Our weather report brought to you by Thompson Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drain Cleaning. Here's our main man back in the saddle, Tim Hedrick.
First of all, tonight, the best from all of us at Local 12 to Dusty Baker and his family. We know he'll be back soon. Boys are going to work on their mechanics. Tonight, that temperature drops down to 68. Better chance of rain as the game goes on. Just work on the fundamentals. Get ready for the playoffs. Right up the middle. Enjoy the game on Fox Sports Ohio.
All righty, how about the run for Bronson Arroyo this season, Chris? After a somewhat sluggish start, he's been on an unbelievable run.
Well, those are the last 5 home starts he's had. 4-0, earned run average under 3. In his last 4 games, he's given up 1 run in each of those games. And he's only got 1 win to show for it. So he may not be winning the ball games himself, but when the Reds take the field behind Bronson Arroyo, chances are that team ends up with the W. Sean Markham missed a lot of time this year already with a bad elbow. He's come back and has not pitched all that well in his last 4 or 5 ball games, but still, he's a guy with a good off-speed pitch. He handles right-handers, and he pitches very well on the road. A matchup of a couple of crafty right-handers going at it tonight at Great American Ballpark.
This will be our final night game of the 2012 regular season here at Great American Ballpark, with an afternoon tilt scheduled for tomorrow. Reds and Brewers next on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by the 2012 Ford F-150 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. By the Regional Tourism Network, let us be your travel guide to Cincinnati, USA. Visit CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Game time is Skyline time. Stop by your favorite Skyline Chili tonight. Reds are taking the field here at Great American Ballpark. Game 2 of this 3-game series against Ron Renicke's Brewers. They line them up this way. Aoki in right field. Weeks at second. Braun in left. Ramirez, Hart, and Lucroy in the middle. Schaefer, Bianchi, and Markham, the latter third. And on the mound for the Reds, looking for win number 13. One more start after night in a regular season for Bronson Arroyo.
Bronson Arroyo has been so good this year. In fact, you said earlier, Tom, that last year was really an aberration. Giving up all those home runs. He has given up just about half as many this year as he did last year. Not quite that, but pretty close to it. Keep the ball in the ballpark. Not worry about how hard you throw. Change speeds. But most of all, he's had impeccable control with that fastball of his.
So Aoki digging in, left-handed batter takes up ball one, and we're underway. Dale Scott is the crew chief, and he is a home plate umpire tonight. Mark Wegner down at first base, Brian Knight at second, and Tim Timmons the umpire at third. Breaking ball snaps in there on the outer edge. Stephen accounted Aoki having a good year, his first year in America. Came over after a decade playing in Japan. 285 batter, 9 home runs, 46 runs batted in, and 2 stolen bases shy of 30 on the season. Naturally, we'll keep you up to date all night long on what's happening around the National League and the wild card race and the best record race. Reds and the Nationals. Roland charging the 2-hopper, throws on the run, got him, and that's the way we start. Let's take a look at the Reds on defense, presented by your Ford dealers. Xavier Paul the nod, still for the injured Ryan Ludwig. Heisey and Bruce join him in the outfield. Roland back in there at third. That's a regular group. And a battery of Arroyo, and a nice return tonight. Good to see Ryan Hannigan back there after injuring his shoulder and the neck area over the weekend.
Well, I got to figure if there's one guy that he was going to come back for and try to be behind the plate, it would be for Bronson Arroyo. I mean, after Bronson Arroyo and Hannigan began that close kinship as catcher and pitcher, I mean, they're hard to separate. David Ross was the guy before Ryan Hannigan came on the scene. It was the same thing for David. I mean, he knew when he was going to catch, and it was when Arroyo took them out.
Ricky Weeks, a .232 batter, 20 home runs, 60 runs batted in, 61 knocked in. Had 1 hit and 4 at-bats in the game here last night. Roland, perfect throw, and there are 2 out. These Brewers, after the loss last night, come in 4 games under 500, over 500, 79 and 75, 4.5 under the final spot for the National League wild card. And basically, the Brewers have to win out the remainder of the year. I mean, realistically.
Well, their elimination number is 4, which of course is it's like the reverse of a magic number. Any number of Cardinal wins or Brewers losses that all add up to 4, and they're going home right at the end of the regular season.
The Brewers don't have another off day. That's why you're still on that half game scenario, 4.5. Cardinals will have their final off day of the year tomorrow. Cardinals gunning for the sweep in Houston tonight. They have Chris Carpenter on the mound. Dodgers also 4.5 back in the wild card. And Ryan Braun, a bouncer to Votto, and a rock solid start for Bronson Arroyo. Reds back last of the first. Reds coming to bat. Scoreless game last of the first inning, and Chris Spire still managing on an interim basis for Dusty Baker, hoping to have the skipper back next Monday in St. Louis. Phillips, Cozart, Votto to start it. Roland, Bruce, and Heisey in the middle. Xavier Paul, Ryan Hannigan, Bronson, Arroyo, the latter third. And making just his 20th start of the year, Chris brought it up earlier. Arm troubles this season for the veteran Sean Markham.
Yeah, Markham's not the kind of guy that you would really look at and say, oh, he's going to have arm problems, because he's not an overpowering pitcher. In fact, he throws a lot of changeups and breaking balls rather than fastballs, and always has been a guy that, last year, for instance, gave the Brewers 200 innings. The year before that, threw 195 for the Toronto Blue Jays. But you see, these numbers against the Reds have not been all that good. 0-1 in his 3 starts. In those 3 starts, he's walked 8 batters. And Markham is not a high strikeout pitcher, and walking batters is a tough thing for him to do.
I'll tell you one thing, he's lost a lot of weight. It's by far the best shape he has been in during virtually his entire major league career. But of course, it doesn't matter what you weigh. It's, is your arm good enough to get out there every 5 days? And this year he's been unable to do it.
What your earned run average weighs.
Oh, 0-1 to Brandon Phillips, and quickly 0-2. Brandon 18 home runs, 76 runs batted in, carries a .286 average. Had 1 hit in 4 at bats in the series opener here last night. Reds got spectacular pitching in that 4-2 win. Trio of Cueto, Broxton, Chapman allowing only 5 hits. The Reds pitching did not walk a single batter last night. Fanning 9. Johnny Cueto will have 1 more start in the regular season. That'll be on Sunday in Pittsburgh, and he'll be gunning for win number 20, trying to become the first Reds pitcher to win 20 or more games in a season since really one of the great pitching years in the history of the Reds franchise, Danny Lynn Jackson in 1988. Won 23 games that year, and were it not for Orel Hershise's scoreless inning streak, Jackson would have walked away with a Cy Young. Milwaukee defensively, presented by Ford. Logan Schaefer to start tonight in center field. Aoki and Braun to his left and right. Ramirez, Bianchi, Weeks, and Hart along the infield, with a battery of Markham and Lucroy. Brought up earlier what an excellent season Markham had in 2011, his first with Milwaukee after coming over from Toronto. Career high 20 quality starts he produced. And by the way, it was the 2nd straight year he had thrown 20 quality starts in his 33 outings overall. 1 and 2 on Cozart.
I think a lot of people looked at that time and said, well, this is another typical case of a guy moving from the American League East into the National League, and doesn't really matter what division, but especially the Central or the West, and you're automatically going to get better.
Ramirez a pirouette. The throw is offline, and Cozart's going to stay right there at first.
I'm not sure what kind of arm that Jeff Bianchi has there at shortstop, whether he would have been able to backhand that ball and throw it over there in time. Probably so. That's one of those plays over at first base that, Corey Hart, actually the Brewers are very lucky right there. That ball didn't go into a camera well or out of play. He's got to come off the bag and just put a glove on that just to keep it from getting away from him.
So Cozart credited with an infield hit. And now Joey Votto at .338, 14 home runs, 54 batted in, and 41 doubles despite missing 2 months of this season. In the air, hit hard. Left center field, and it's up against the wall. It'll be another double for Votto, and this one's going to bring in a run. Cozart scores 1-0 Reds.
Now, you had to figure that Joey Votto was thinking about left field all day long today, facing Sean Markham, who's going to try to get him out by going down and away. That ball he got over the center of the plate, but still Votto's going to take it the other way. And he hits this ball well. I'll tell you, hit that ball back in the middle of July, and it's 10 rows deep. A header.
Votto, despite missing those 2 months, is 42 doubles, second only to Aramis Ramirez among all National Leaguers. That's astonishing. He was on his way to making a run of the all-time single-season record for doubles in a year at 69 before he got hurt. Scotty Rowland, 7 home runs, 37 runs batted in. He has Votto out there at second base and pulled foul. One ball and 2 strikes on Rowland. Bryce Harper's hit a 2-run home run in the first inning at Philadelphia. And the Nationals, a team the Reds are tied with the best record in the National League, have a 2-0 lead in Philadelphia in the bottom of the first inning. Those two teams play again tomorrow. And then the Nationals will play in St. Louis before the Reds get there. Nationals will be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 2-2 to Rowland. To the count on Rowland, and it's in the air, hit hard in the deep left center field, and it's run down by Schaefer. What's a nice play by the Milwaukee center fielder. That ball was stung, nearly chasing Schaefer on a line to the warning track. 2 out.
Well, we've got a great view of it up here, Tom, at the third level, right behind home plate. And I'll tell you, that ball looked like it was a double right from the get-go until Schaefer was able just to get over there and run it down. I mean, he hits this ball right on the screws. And look where Schaefer's playing. He starts off over there in right center field.
So now Jay Bruce against a big shift here. You have 3 Milwaukee infielders in between the first and second base bag. Aramis Ramirez having to play a little closer to third than he normally would on this kind of shift because of the runner Votto at second base. Jay tied for second in the National League in home runs, third in extra base hits, in the top 10 in slugging percentage and RBIs, but a one-hopper at Weeks, and that'll do it. But thanks to a hit by Cozart, a double by Votto, Reds are out to a 1-0 lead. American Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Well, you go back to when divisional play began in 1969. Only the Braves and the Phillies have won more divisional championships than the Reds, alongside St. Louis and the Dodgers. Reds have won 2 in the last 3 years now in the Central Division, after going a long time since taking a divisional crown. Their last prior to 2010. Got to go all the way back to 1990. Two on Aramis Ramirez in the air and drifting out of play. Reds with a 1-0 lead. Arroyo a 1-2-3 opening inning.
Well, that's part of the good news for Bronson Arroyo. The other part of the good news is that he just established that strike zone low and away by Dale Scott tonight as one that might favor the pitchers. That first base side of the home plate right here is an area where Dale Scott has already called a pitch on Aramis Ramirez that had him shaking his head. If you know that you're going to get that pitch, you might as well live out there.
One out there again. It's popped up in a shallow right center, and Phillips will backpedal to get it. Now Corey Hart settles in at 275, 28 home runs and 78 runs batted in, and there's that breaking ball on the outside, rolled off the end of the bat, and just like that, the first 2 gone here in the Milwaukee second inning.
You know, it really amazes me when I watch Bronson Arroyo pitch, and maybe it's just today's ball player, that they're a little bit stubborn, they're kind of set in their ways, and once they find a spot in the batter's box, they're going to stay there regardless of the type of pitcher that they face. Now maybe when they face a knuckleball pitcher, you know, that may change, but for the most part, you know, I really think when you face a guy like Bronson Arroyo, you better change your attitude, because he certainly has a completely different repertoire of pitchers than what you'll see out of 99% of what else is out there. And if you're sitting in the same spot in the batter zone, you still have to negotiate completely different pitches from Arroyo. And I think it just gives you a completely different look. And he's figured out now that that pitch right there, just flipping that ball in there, is something that hitters don't practice hitting. It throws their timing off. They spend all winter and all summer long figuring out how to make their bat speed better and their reactions quicker. And he's just flipping it up there essentially at high school speed. I mean, if he's a high school kid, he's throwing 87 miles an hour at a tryout camp, he's not going to one of the big time schools. He may find a way to be on a D1 team, but nowadays you've got to be throwing a little bit harder than that to get a, you know, I'm talking about getting a ride at North Carolina, South Carolina, Arizona State, something like that.
2-out single by Luke Roy keeps the inning alive for Logan Schaefer.
But he can pitch in the big leagues
and get people out successfully in the big leagues. He has had, you know, is Bronson Arroyo going to the Hall of Fame? I mean, I think we all agree he's probably not. But I tell you one thing, the word great sometimes is overused. I don't think it's unfair or overused to say Bronson Arroyo's had a great major league career. He's making his 232nd start as a Red. That's 11th all time in the franchise history. He's won 124 games while losing 113. He's closing in on 2,100 career innings. That's a great career.
Sure is.
One and one to Schaefer. Only 11 games with a big league club, 5 hits and 13 at bats, 4 runs batted in for Logan Schaefer. Strike two. Arroyo ranks 11th on the club's all-time list for starts. The next man on the radar that would put him in the top 10, he will be 10 starts away from Gary Nolan. Also has a chance to crack the top 10 all-time on the Reds strikeout list. Currently ranks 11th there. And is 16 strikeouts behind our old buddy Tom Browning. Pop up a mile into the air, and Phillips underneath it. He'll squeeze it tightly, and outside a hit a man left. Reds batting the second, leading 1-0. Red hits a home run off that Toyota sign tonight. We're running out of time. Big night for Samuel Dunlap from Cincinnati. He'd win the new Tundra. One more game to go and try and give away that Tundra tomorrow. I wonder if we're doing that thing through the postseason. I bet you we are. Of course, we will not have the postseason games of the Reds here on Fox Sports Ohio. The opening round would be televised by TBS. Should the Reds reach a National League Championship Series and the World Series, both of those would be on the Fox network. But we will be having post-game coverage each and every single game throughout the postseason. Chris Welsh, I know you're a big centerpiece of that whole coverage.
Well, that will be on Fox Sports Ohio,
yes,
your normal channel where you watch the games right now. So right after the ball games, you flip it over to Fox Sports Ohio, and Jim Day and I will be right back here. We'll be heading off to wherever the Reds play with Jeff Picoro and company on the road.
So again, a reminder, and we'll have more details for you as it moves along, but just file it away that after every single Reds postseason game, flip over immediately to Fox Sports Ohio. Jim Day, Chris Welsh, Jeff Pecoro, and company will break it all down. And 2 on Chris Heisey, who leads off here in the bottom of the second inning. The Reds with a 1-0 lead thanks to a run-scoring double by Joey Votto to score Zach Kozar. Just threw a fastball right by Heisey at 87 miles per hour.
Yeah, both these pitchers tonight really top out about the same level, which is the mid to high 80s. Sean Markham has never been all that much of a hard thrower. In fact, he averages just over 86 miles on his fastball. So that ranks him about 130th out of 136 or so in Major League Baseball as far as velocity of pitchers, average velocity, that have thrown at least 100 innings this year. So, but he's always never been a guy really who's thrown hard. He's had a good Major League career by being able to throw the ball where he wants to and changing speeds. Very good changeup, especially to left-handers.
Left-handed bats right now, Xavier Paul. And it's taken inside. Ball 1 to Xavier. What a nice addition he has turned out to be to this Reds club. 307 batter, a home run, 6 runs batted in limited playing time, but he's had some big hits. And he'll be a part of that Reds postseason roster coming off the bench. Bianchi waiting, and that's out number 2. So here comes Ryan Hannigan. He left Sunday night's game against the Dodgers with a bruised right shoulder. The x-rays were negative. He was very sore. First pitch swinging, lifts a fly ball, right center. Schaefer there. Reds gone in order. They lead 1-0. Early reminder coming up a little bit later on tonight. Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Take a look at our Farmers Insurance report card. Bronson Arroyo at run support, 5th lowest in the National League, and the only pitcher in the bottom 7 that sports a winning record. That's how good he's been this year.
You know, it's funny because when you vote on the Cy Young Award, the #1 thing you look at is the number of wins. if a guy hits that 20 win plateau, all of a sudden you know he gets into rarefied air because it doesn't happen every year to all that many pitchers. But that's the one thing a starting pitcher really has the least control over of anything else, is whether he wins the game or not. You have much more control over your earned run average, your number of quality starts, number of starts where you have that probable win stat where you just pitch 7 innings or more. So you have lucky years and unlucky years from that standpoint.
Arroyo, former Gold Glove winner at the pitcher's position, climbs the ladder to get that one and throws out Bianchi to begin the third. Reds with a 1-0 lead.
Well, Bronson was a shortstop in high school growing up. Born in Key West, grew up over near Homosassa in Florida. But he was mainly a shortstop. He pitched as well. But, you know, you see the position that he's in after he releases the ball. He's got the advantage there that power pitchers don't. Guys like Johnny Cueto and Matt Latos, who are firing the ball up there at 95 miles an hour, their whole body is really taking them off towards first base because they're really firing off that pitching rubber with their feet. Arroyo really doesn't do that. His is a mastery of all the off-speed stuff.
Runs ahead of the pitcher Sean Markham at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Markham only 3 hits and 33 at bats on the year. Popped up. Phillips will get it. 2 out. So 1 time through the batting order so far tonight. And only 1 base hit. That was a 2-out single in the second inning by Jonathan Lucroy.
Well, if the Brewers last night had a very important game to win or lose, tonight's game is a must game. Their elimination number, I think, is 4 also. So they're a ball club that last night's game may have been the last nail for them. Certainly tonight's game certainly would be if they're not able to pull this one out.
That ball stung into right field. It'll find the seats. Aoki jumps on the first pitch from Arroyo and has tied this game at 1.
He just gets a fastball pretty much right down Broadway up. And that's about the only part of the ballpark that Norachika Aoki is going to hit a home run, but he hit it very well. A liner right out of here.
So we begin anew with the bases empty and 2 outs here in the third inning after the game-tying home run by the Milwaukee right fielder and leadoff man. And here's Ricky Weeks. He tapped out to Scott Rowland. Is only at bat and hits one right by him on another first pitch fastball by Arroyo.
Well, that's a rare base hit for Ricky Weeks against Arroyo. He comes into this ball game batting 159 lifetime against Arroyo, and he's seen him a bunch. Another little get ahead fastball right there, found the center of the plate.
First pitch strikes have been the MO for Arroyo, 10 of 11, and the last 2 first pitch strikes have been hit very hard. A home run by Aoki, and now the single by Weeks. Braun tapped out to Votto on a breaking ball his first time up. Breaking ball, and that's a pitch he's been flipping up there all night long and getting the call for strikes. Two and one to Ryan Braun. Runner at first, 2 are out, and that ball's hit hard into right center field, and it'll fall in front of Heisey. He fires to the cutoff man. They're going to hold the runner Weeks at third, so it's a double by Ryan Braun. First time through the batting order, the Brewers only had 1 base hit. They have 3 straight hits to begin the second time through the order.
Yeah, they look a lot better at the plate. They look like early on that they were just up there swinging at the first couple of strikes that they saw. And they were weakly grounding out down to third base, popping it up to Brandon Phillips. But in this inning, Bronson Arroyo, instead of finding the corners with that fastball of his, is finding the center of the strike zone. And this is a very good Brewers team. We told you last night they lead the league in runs scored. And they can put them on you in a hurry.
Well, they lead the league in runs scored, and of course, to get to that point, they also happen to lead the league in home runs and stolen bases. So look at some of the numbers. I mean, number 1 in homers, RBIs, extra base hits, runs per game, as Chris mentioned. Second best slugging percentage. They got some gaudy numbers up and down this lineup. Knocked down by Cozart, but a run's going to score. 4 straight 2-out hits, and the Brewers have a 2-1 lead.
4 straight very hard hit balls too. And if you're Bronson Arroyo or Chris Spire, that's what you're more concerned about rather than the base hits. If they're flipping them up there and they're falling in little jam shots, that's one thing, but that's another one right off the barrel.
Well, now Arroyo just hoping to find the final out of this inning. He retired the first 2 very easily. The number 9 hitter, and that was for the second out after retiring the 8 hitter to begin the inning. Then a game-tying home run from Aoki. Weeks a single, Braun a double, Ramirez a run-scoring single, and the Brewers have scored twice and have a 1-run lead.
Yeah, and Hart is the one guy in this order that in his career has driven in more runs against Arroyo than anybody else. In fact, he hits him for a higher batting average than everybody else.
Well, he bounced out to Votto his first time up. And now the 0-1 coming to Corey Hart. Time is called. They appeal and nothing doing, says Mark Wegner. 1 ball and 1 strike on Hart. Those are the numbers Chris was talking about in his career against Arroyo. They're on the corners with 2 away. A ball and a strike on Hart. And a fastball catches the inside corner belt high. Clearly Hart was not looking for that. Wanted the call on a knee-high fastball on the outside corner. Didn't get it. 2-2. Lucroy, the only Brewer to collect a base hit against Arroyo. First time through the batting order. Now Arroyo's looking for his first out. The second time through it. 2-2 pitch. And the count goes full.
Well, he's thrown 2 pitches back-to-back. Arroyo has sinking fastballs that have just missed the strike zone. He was halfway off the mound after the previous pitch, and that last one right there looked awfully good, too. But a good sinking action. That's a strike, according to our Fox tracks. If it touches that line, that's in the zone.
And another missile off of Brewer's bat. 5 straight hits, producing 3 runs in a 3-1 Milwaukee lead. Homer single, double, single, single. All after the first 2 are retired in the inning.
Boy, you talk about a game of inches. I mean, he gets this ball up maybe 3 inches from where the previous pitch was because he needed to throw a strike, and Corey Hart is all over it. So it could have been possibly a strikeout had he been able to get that ball just a little bit higher previous couple of pitches. He'd have been out of the inning. The last time Bronson pitched against the Milwaukee Brewers back on August the 9th, it was not a good experience for him. 5 1/3, 10 hits, 5 runs in that ball game. That dropped his record against the Brewers lifetime to 13-9. So they give him somewhat of a challenge, but they're not one of these teams that simply loads up their lineup with left-handers either. They've only got 2 lefties in this lineup today. One of them is Logan Schaefer.
And the other one's already hit a home run. That was Aoki in this inning. 8th man to bat is Lucroy. He had a single into left field his first time up and looks at strike 1 here with runners on the corners and 3 runs home. Brewers must have heard you, Chris, because after Markham popped up and you were talking about, how really they cannot lose another game the rest of this year. Aoki clubs one of the seats in right, and that has started a string of 5 straight hits.
Well, this is not the kind of team that you want to let them get on an offensive roll.
Well, mercifully, this will do it. 5 hits, 3 runs. Reds trail by 2. Ballpark. Penn Station East Coast subs. You have one more day to grab them. For tickets, call 381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or visit Reds.com for tickets to the home regular season finale tomorrow. We had Penn Station tonight.
Hey, we thank Penn Station for feeding their crew again.
I think Jesse's taken home about 15 of those later tonight.
I was wondering why Jeff Pecoro and Jim Day and the whole pregame gang were up here. Big smiles on their face during that pregame show. Now we know why. You could use a salad anyway.
You're right. Strike one to Bronson Arroyo. Brewers get 3 runs against him in the top half of the 3rd inning. So now the Reds bat trailing for the first time tonight. They took a 1-0 lead on an infield hit by Cozart. He scored from first on a double by Votto in the opening inning. Straight up in the air, and Schaefer playing shallow to begin with, standing and waiting. 1 out. Well, the Ohio Lottery, boy, that Powerball jackpot, $200 million, and the drawing is tonight at 11 o'clock. Well, the Nationals aren't fooling around tonight. They have hit 3 home runs against Kyle Kendrick and lead in the 3rd inning at Philadelphia 5-0. Dodgers are winning. Cardinals playing a little wild in Houston. Atlanta wrapped up a spot in the playoffs with their dramatic win last night. Yankees won earlier today. Game and a half better than Baltimore in the East. Orioles a 1-1 tie at home against Toronto. Detroit and the White Sox are tied atop the American League Central. Detroit trailing Kansas City 3-1. And the Tigers will keep an eye later as the White Sox are at home against Cleveland. Oh, 2 on Brandon Phillips. He bounced out to the first baseman, leading off the Reds' 1st inning. And he strikes out this time. 2nd of the night for Sean Markham. So now Cozart, he had the slow roller to the left side of the infield. Ramirez went far to the glove side to pick it up, made the pirouette throw that was offline. Scored an infield hit. Well, he'll bat with the bases empty and 2 outs. Strike 1. Tickets are available for the home finale tomorrow. That'll be a 12:35 game. Then we do not know when the next time the Reds will play here at Great American Ballpark in 2012. But you know what? The great news is they will be playing again at Great American Ballpark here in 2012. It would either be a week from, well, 2 weeks from yesterday or 2 weeks from today. That'll be their next home game. Unless something dramatic happens where they would slip to the number 3 seed, which statistically is still possible. But they have a 4-game lead over the Giants. For that number 2 seed. This time next week, in fact a week from tonight, will be the final game of the 2012 regular season. The Reds will be playing a night game next Wednesday at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. That'll be game number 162. And then depending on whether or not they're the top seed in the National League, if that's the case, they'll wait around to figure out who they're going to play. That one-game playoff will be on Friday. And the Red Series would start on Sunday. If they're the number 2 seed, they would play in San Francisco on Saturday. Cozart has his second hit tonight. This one a 2-out single, which keeps the inning alive for the potential tying run coming to the plate. Joey Votto.
Yeah, nice to see Zach swinging the ball a little bit better, getting some good timing down. You know, he missed some time with that rib injury that he had. He had that pulled or oblique injury, kind of the rib cage right on the left side, just behind his midsection. And it really kept him out, and you could tell that he didn't have his timing down when he first came back. In fact, Chris Byer dropped him down the lineup to get him out of the number 2 spot, try to take some pressure off of him, but he's had 2 good swings tonight.
Votto double to knock in the only Reds run off the left center field wall in the first inning. Takes ball 1. To a pitch, and it's in the dirt, ball 3.
Yeah, I guess there's the question as to whether, you know, if you have a struggling guy like Zach Cozart coming off not off the disabled list, but off the bench, having not played a lot, do you put him down the order to take pressure off of him, or do you keep him hitting in front of Joey Votto, where you know he's going to get a lot of strikes? You don't want to pitch to Votto with a runner on base, so you're normally going to get hit, go right after that guy. And he's picked on a couple of fastballs on the night, has Cozart. So now you finally do get Votto up there. He nearly hit an opposite field home run, and Markham's being very careful with him.
Nowhere near the strike zone, and he walks him on 4 straight pitches. So now a chance for Scott Rowland. And guess what city was named one of the top 3 places to visit in 2012? You better believe it, our hometown, Cincinnati. Book your weekend getaway at CincinnatiUSA.com. So now Scott Rowland. Cozart at second, Votto at first, 2 outs. Reds trailing 3-1, batting in the bottom of the 3rd inning. On the outside corner to even accounted a ball and a strike on Rowland.
You know, Markham is one of those pitchers that throws just about every pitch you've got. Fastball, slider, cutter, curveball, changeup, and he will change speeds on all of those. And he spreads them out pretty equally among all of them as far as the percentage of usage.
Little flare into short right center field and caught by Aoki. Nice play. Got a good jump. Red strand 2, trail by 2. exclusive 2012 Reds Hall of Fame Induction Gala DVD. It was an unbelievable night, especially Sean Casey along with Dan Dreesen and the family of John Riley. Have interviews, highlights, tributes to the 2012 induction class. Visit redsmuseum.org to purchase. That's a 2012 Reds Hall of Fame Induction Gala DVD. I'm telling you, if you're a Sean Casey fan, that is a must-have.
Oh, you're not kidding. Boy, was he good.
That was just a great night. It always is. We have it every other year now where they inducted a new class into the Reds Hall of Fame. Have it down at the Duke Energy Center in downtown Cincinnati. Have the largest crowd we've ever had for that event this summer. All the current Reds, manager Dusty Baker, all the coaches. You were there, Chris. That old curmudgeon Lee May was there.
Lee's probably getting in shape right now, getting ready for fantasy camp. This is about the time of year he starts tightening up a little bit.
Tightening up. There's a pop-up into short left field.
Why are you laughing?
You know I love Lee May. I love Lee May. One of my favorite people in the Royal.
He is the best.
His wife Terry, I mean, he shredded me up one side and down the other during that Hall of Fame induction gala, and I love it. He's something.
Wait till you make it down to fantasy camp. You talk about shredding up.
I can only imagine.
Oh, man. Relentless for a week.
He would be worth the price of going just in and of himself.
Actually, just to see him and Hatcher go at it.
Oh, really?
For a week. Oh, it's hilarious.
But you've got a lot of guys that come down there, the former Reds.
Or Jack Billingham and Lee May.
Now that's a guy I was.
Now those are the two that's a great setup with those two. There is just one story after another. The funnier as they go along.
Fair ball by Bianchi down in the left field corner. That'll be a one-out double. So 1 on, 1 out. Brewers leading 3-1 after getting 5 straight hits, producing 3 runs in a third inning.
Well, you're not used to seeing a swing like that very often. Boy, he went up and tomahawked that ball. That ball looked like it was way over his head. Take a look at that swing.
Now the pitcher Markham with a runner at second and 1 out. And a breaking ball is just under the knees. Markham popped up to Brandon Phillips, his only time up tonight. It was after Arroyo retired Markham where his problem started. In the third inning, he had gone through the batting order, allowed only 1 single, a 2-out single to Jonathan Lucroy in a second inning. There's a tapper down to third, rolling. Lays to first for the second out. Right now at FoxSportsOhio.com, will the Reds be better off, in your opinion, with a number 3 seed? Chris Spire says yes. Hal McCoy has the details. And for the Bengals, another week, another win, and another honor for a Bengals player. Find out who and why at FoxSportsOhio.com. Bengalis will be on the road again this weekend. Their 3rd road game of their first 4 of the year. Now Aoki, a homer to tie the game at 1. Just 1 inning ago, hit a laser to the 3rd row and right. 2-0 the count. And a breaking ball is outside. You have Ricky Weeks due up next. Hey, a little bit of lightning off to the south. Looking over into the Commonwealth. I'd like to think, Chris, it's passing that way going west to east, south of here, and staying away from us.
Looked like there was a big blob of weather coming this way earlier this afternoon on the radar.
There's ball 4. We understand they're getting some bad weather, some heavy weather, just down the highway to over in Florence. You know, we said Chris Spire was okay with being the number 3 seed. Listen to this.
Me, I'd like to be 3. I'd like to know that they're coming to me, and I got 2 games at home. But you know, that's not the scenario or anything that this team is about in regards to winning or losing games. We're going to play every game, and we're going to try to win every game. We're playing teams that, you know, that are hot, that, you know, we don't want to face, and we're going to try to, you know, do what we can to knock everybody that we play out.
Fiery guy, man. You know, Chris, you and I have talked a lot about it the last couple of years. That if there's a guy out there that certainly deserves a chance to be a major league manager, Chris Spire, you and I believe, should be right near the top of the list. There are other guys out there, don't get me wrong, but we have a chance to be around him, and he had an outstanding playing career, very knowledgeable, very sharp. I like the fact that he's not afraid to step out there and say what he believes or what he feels where he'd like to be. I admire that.
I couldn't agree more. I'm with you 100% on everything you just said about Spire. I mean, he's always been a real thoughtful guy. I mean, I played with him way back when we were both with the Montreal Expos, and he was a guy that really took control of the ball game. He had a lot of superstars surrounding them, but he was kind of the glue that was the captain of that club. That's another strike that Arroyo gets squeezed on a little bit.
Chris was a coach under Bob Brentley in Arizona. Swinging a foul ball back out of play, so he's been a coach on a team that won a World Series. That was back in 2001. He's been with Dusty Baker the last 2 stops for him in Chicago and, of course, here in Cincinnati.
It's funny, though, but once you get into the managerial fraternity, it just seems like there have been so many guys that get, you know, fired and then rehired, and then they get retreaded and then they come back over and over again. And maybe it's about interviewing. Who knows? There are a lot of guys out there that are quite a bit like Chris Spire that deserve a shot, or at least, you know, considering on what he's done in his career, how much time he's put in as a coach, the respect that he has around baseball from his peers, that never get a shot, never even get past the second interview.
High fly ball into left center field. This is playable for Heisey, short of the track, inning over. Brewers strand 2, middle of the 4th. Arroyo and the Reds trailing 3-1.
Here on Fox Sports Ohio, it is Reds Live pregame edition. In-depth features, you'll hear from the players, first look at the lineups, and more. It's Reds Live, and it's presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Jim Day with you, and to continue what they were talking about in the last inning about Chris Spire and doing such a good job filling in for Dusty Baker. I've got some more good news on the Dusty Baker front. He spent most of the day today at Great American Ballpark, and he did everything that a manager normally does except sit in the dugout during this game. Chris Spire says he made out a lineup but took it into Dusty. They tweaked it a little bit. Dusty Baker and Chris Spire sat down and went over the matchups and all the percentages, etc., all the cards they make out with, all the statistics. So Dusty Baker spent most of the day at the park, did everything a manager does except sitting in the dugout right now, but he's in good hands with Chris Spire. Boys?
Indeed.
Well, the other thing he did not do, wisely, probably the most stressful thing that he has to do every day, Jim Day, I don't know if you're still on or not, but he didn't meet with the media and have to answer all those silly questions about his lineup.
Yeah, you know what, and to expand on what you guys were talking about, Dusty doesn't like to talk about that lineup, but Chris is kind of refreshing. He just puts it right out there and explains why he put guys, where he put guys, and as you said, he just says it, what's on his mind, and that's very refreshing. He has done a very good job of handling the media.
You know, it's also safe to say that Chris has only had to do it for about a week now. You sit there and get asked about that lineup every day for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Well, what is he?
You might change a little bit.
Well, exactly. Well, he's 7 wins and 2 losses filling in, right, for Dusty? 8 and 2.
Including suspensions and now this current.
So things have gone well. Now, if he's 2 and 8, he may not be so willing to be talking about that lineup. Because a lot of people are talking about the lineup because they think they've got a better one in their back pocket. It's a whole lot more to managing than that, that's for sure.
Sinking liner, but it stays up long enough for Schaefer to get it. Bruce and Heisey retired to begin the 4th inning.
Right on the button. That's the kind you hit as a hitter, and you can't hit it any better than that. In fact, you hit that ball probably better than you do normally a home run. You hit it square on the barrel. If you miss it just a little bit, maybe a 1/4 of an inch or so underneath of it, that ball may be going out of here to center field.
One ball and 1 strike on Xavier. He popped up to the shortstop. Bianchi is only a bat back in the 2nd inning. Atletos back on the mound here tomorrow in the series finale, the home finale. Reds are played Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon in Pittsburgh. Saturday's a night game. Sunday the day game with Johnny Cueto going for win number 20, and then it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. And there's strike 3 called. Paul disagrees with Dale Scott. 4 strikeouts for Markham. He has a 3-1 lead. We move to the 5th. Sports Ohio, brought to you by JTN Food Group, creating great dishes together with the food service industry for over 30 years. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Visit Toyota.com. And by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network, AT&T Rethink Possible. Going to look inside the Holy Grail right across the street. Part of the wonderful Banks project in downtown Cincinnati between Great American Ballpark and Paul Brown Stadium. First pitch, hack, and Ryan Braun on a slow breaking ball, and rolling just in front of the fans. One pitch, one out in the fifth. Now, Chris, a lot of people are curious as to where you're doing that post-game show from, because I'm sure a lot of people want to know if they're going to be able to show up and be a part of it all. Of course, you know, the sports condominium, the Fox Sports Ohio condominium down there where Jim Day and Jeff Pecoro bring you all the Reds Live post-game version. Is that going to be part of the mix, or are you looking at another venue?
Well, that will be open, the condominium, where the guys normally do, right down there in the concourse behind third base.
When the Reds are at home.
When the Reds are at home during the first series. Actually, not when the Reds are home. When you can't get in there when the Reds aren't home, but we're going to emanate from there during the first series. And when the Reds make it to the next round, and then the next series, the next round after that, then we will be on Fountain Square.
Wow. How about that? So you could be there very, very late at night, because once you get to the LCS, maybe not every game, but virtually every game from the LCS on would be a night game.
Yeah, but it would be a great place to watch the game. Remember, they've got that big LCD board up there right on Fountain Square. They'll show the game. Be plenty of people down there. Good.
Slider back to the mound, handled by Arroyo. 2 out. Well, that'll be great hanging out down there in Fountain Square. So that's home games or road games. Doesn't matter. That would be during the LCS and the World Series.
Correct. Home and away. So if you can't make it out to wherever the venue is, the Reds end up, go to Fountain Square. If you get squeezed out, you can't get tickets to the home game, you head out to Fountain Square.
Man, that'd be fun. A lot of people down there and hanging out and having fun and getting behind our home team. Strike one to Corey Hart.
Now, you, Tom, I understand that you'll be working on the radio side during the weekday games, which your NFL schedule will allow you to do. So that's nice to be able to work.
Will be around on the weekend.
It's good.
Very excited about it.
Cowboy will be in the booth every game, right?
And the Hall of Famer. He will be calling, as he normally does, 6 of the 9 innings of the game on radio. And Cowboy will be there for all 9. And when they need a helping hand from time to time, it will be Mr. Kelch or me. Looking forward to it. Two down for Corey Hart. He had a run-scoring single. The final hit of 5 straight hits after 2 were out, leading to 3 runs against Arroyo in the 3rd inning. And now a 2-2 count on the Milwaukee former right fielder turned first baseman. And it's hooked into left center field. Heisey will get it on a diving grab. That's closing speed right there. That ball lingering up in the air long enough for Heisey to get it. Air ball. Home Depot doing more on defense play. That is some kind of play right there by Heisey.
Well, he got a good jump at the very end right there. Maybe a dive for some style points. Hey, I'll take it. He plays a pretty nice outfield, Chris Heisey does, and with the way that Drew Stubbs has been struggling at the plate, he's getting more and more playing time, and a shot to show him what he can do. It'll be interesting to see what the Reds do come the playoffs at their outfield configuration. Of course, by then we figured that Ryan Ludwig will be better. He had a good batting practice today, Ludwig did. I mean, he said he had no pain. Been sidelined with a groin injury for a while now. Boy, he was hitting some balls a long way today.
Back up through the middle, and that roller will stop in center field before it even gets to Schaefer, but it's a base hit.
Well, you've heard the 25 hopper up the middle. There it is.
So now Bronson up there to try and put down his fifth sacrifice of the year, one would assume, but he handles the bat pretty well. You were starting to say there, Mr. Wells, pardon me.
I'll wait till Bronson lays his bunt down, at least try it. I was on a radio program today, Tom, and I want to ask you whether you think I was way off base, typically crazy or not. But the host asked me, who's the MVP of the Reds this year? Now, I said, really, without hesitating, Ryan Hanigan.
I don't think you're crazy about that. I mean, I think you can make an argument for, two or three other guys, but, I mean, heck.
I don't think
it's crazy at all.
I don't think they do what they do without solid play behind the plate the way that Hanigan has really led this pitching staff. I mean, really led this pitching staff. He's got a young staff. Remember that, Cueto's still young. Latos is 24 years old.
Well, four of the five guys are under 26 years old. Arroyo's the only one that's older than 26. I don't think you're crazy one bit. Where was that show? Was that locally or was that out of town?
That was JMV over in Indianapolis.
Very nice. Indy.
Yeah.
Naptown.
Does a good job, JMV. You been on a show before?
Yes.
I was honored to have him. He had Johnny Bench on there last week, for goodness sakes.
Well, it's a good sports town, Indianapolis. They
Johnny must have changed his number.
Football, basketball, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Big time town.
It's fun city. I'll be there next weekend for a little NFL action.
You driving or are you flying?
I'm driving. I'm going to go up there and see the Green Bay Packers against the Indianapolis Colts next week.
You got to drive my car up there. It tops out about 67 miles an hour.
I think that sounds great.
You'll have no problems at all.
I think it's awesome. Just flip me the keys.
You got them.
Give me a day or two to get that baby souped up. Ready to roll. One and one to count on Brandon Phillips. He's bounced out to first and struck out against Markham tonight. Doesn't seem like he's seeing the ball all that well tonight. Markham has pitched him tough. I mean, that's a tough pitch to hit right there.
Well, it is. And, when Brandon Phillips was really on fire, and he's had a tough month of September. After hitting over 300 for 2 or 3 months in a row, he's really struggled here. But when he's really been going good, he's hits the ball to right field a lot. Stays on top of the ball and drives it that way. We just have kind of seen him get underneath the ball that he hit to right field. He plays every day. I mean, he rarely ever gets a day off, Brandon Phillips. And you just assume these guys that play every day and put up numbers like Phillips did, he hit 300 last year, that they don't get tired, but that's not the fact. I mean, he's still out here every day, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, taking 50 ground balls at least, turning double plays, taking batting practice. So I'm running after batting practice today. You got to be getting tired.
That ball's driven into center field, but again, stays up long enough for Schaefer to track it down. 2 out. Tomorrow night, our high school football game of the week. 5-0 team, Summit, taking on Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy. Brian Giesenslaw, Dave Lapham, Natalie Taylor bring you all the action beginning at 7:30 tomorrow night. We're on the road to glory, only on Fox Sports Ohio. Cozart a perfect 2 for 2 tonight. An infield hit scored the only Reds run on the Votto double in the first inning. Single to left center his last time up. A ball and a strike on Zach Cozart. And he figures to get probably a pretty good pitch to hit in this at bat, knowing Votto standing in the on deck circle. Reds trailing by 2 with 1 on and 2 out. Fastball away, 2-1 on Cozart. Cardinals and the Astros scoreless in the third. Washington jumped out to a 5-0 lead on Philadelphia, but now that's a 3-run ball game. 5-2 Nationals in front in the fifth. 2-1 to Cozart. And a breaking ball away, trying to get the youngster to chase. And now all of a sudden a 3-1 count. Reds hoping that man right there will bat here in the bottom of the fifth inning with a chance to do major damage. Going to come out and chat with Markham before this 3-2 pitch on Cozart. What do you think they're going to come with here, Chris?
I think he's going to throw his best pitch, which is an off-speed pitch. I'd imagine it's going to be a little cutter right here. Something that looks like a fastball that is not, and just to try to stay off the barrel. I mean, I say his best pitch. His best pitch is any one of 4 off-speed pitches.
Was an off-speed pitch.
I'm surprised he didn't go right after him.
I shake my head.
I mean, you got a 3-1 ball game, and now you got the winning or the go-ahead run coming to the plate in the man of Joey Votto.
You know, I just don't get it. I mean, I've never been down there, but I mean, when you're sitting here and you look at everything going on, and you've got a rookie shortstop who we all believe is going to be a very good player, but coming into the game, he's hitting .243. Well, you've got a guy that's maybe the best hitter in the league on deck. This is a must-win game, as we pointed out already. This isn't some play-out-the-string game. Now, they might get Votto out and all's fine, but I just don't get it.
I guarantee you one thing. Ron Renicky agrees with you 100%. I mean, how can you not be thinking the same thing? Now, when you're on the mound, sometimes it's a little different. You look at a guy in there and you say, yeah, I know he's a rookie, but boy, he's had 2 really good swings on me. Yeah. He's hit the ball sharply both times. I've got a good changeup tonight. Maybe I can get Votto to roll over on one.
And again, a guy like Markham has a kind of track record, been around a long time. He's been a very, very solid pitcher. I mean, at times he has been an outstanding pitcher over the last couple of years in his career. So, you know, there's certainly a benefit of the doubt involved here, but I don't know many guys in baseball that are throwing 3-2 changeups to Cozart so they can face Votto. And Joey looks at a fastball right at the knees.
Right, he's looking breaking ball. That's why. And here's Markham versus lefties, 260 versus righties, 233. He's faced just about the same number of batters, both lefties and righties, this year. So that's a good number to go by.
Two on, two out. Votto and takes a fastball in. That'll leave it a count.
You know, there's some hitters out there that you get 2 strikes on him, you think, oh, you know, I got him now. I got him right where I want him. But Votto never really allows you to get to that point mentally, because he never looks like you've got him. You throw your best pitch, he fouls it off. Now you got to come up with a better pitch.
2-2 to count. Votto waiting with 2 on. And it stays high.
Boy, they wanted that in that dugout. Reaction, body language by Jerry Narron, Ron Renicky in there. There's Jerry Narron, former Red skipper. Tell you what, Dale Scott, he's been stingy with both pitchers tonight.
So now the runners get started, handing it out at second. Cozart at first. 3-2 on Joey Votto. And it's ball 4. They're loaded for Scott Rowland.
Now Sean Marsham and Joey Votto. How about a pitch-by-pitch evaluation of this at-bat brought to you by Mazda? Now he just walked Zach Cozart, so keep in mind he's got to throw some strikes. He did not get ahead of him. Now he gets ahead 1 ball, 2 strikes. Misses inside with a fastball, only to set up something off speed. And he thought he had a strikeout on that changeup. And he threw another changeup, that time down and missed out of the zone. And eventually Joey Votto works a walk. But 1 fastball in off the plate to set up those 2 off-speed pitches. And that's really the way Markham goes after left-handed hitters.
Rowland is lined out to center, hit the ball very hard that Schaefer made a nice running play on in the first inning. Then he popped up to short right, stranding 2 in the third. Fastball away, ball 1 on Rowland.
Well, Markham is getting now a little bit frustrated. He's a veteran. He doesn't show a lot of emotions out there, but immediately after Dale Scott called that pitch a ball, you could see him kind of take a second look.
Got a strike there, 1-1. Reds trailing 3-1. They have them loaded. Hannigan, Cozart, and Votto aboard with 2 men out. A ball and a strike on Rowland. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. Perfect location there with a fastball knee high outside edge. Not sure if Rowland agreed with the call.
Well, we've said it before. You know you're doing a good job when everybody's mad at you.
Rowland looking for a game-tying 2-out base hit behind an account in 1 ball and 2 strikes with 2 out. "25 pitches it's taken Markham to this point here in the bottom of the 5th inning. 82 of them in the game. And maybe his biggest pitch of the night coming up right here. Generally the action pitch on a 2-2 count. Roland waits. And Markham to the plate. Got him swinging, inning over. Reds leave him loaded. Roland's left 5 on base. 3-1 Milwaukee in front. As a 2013 Red season ticket holder and with only $100 deposit, you can guarantee yourself huge savings, receive exclusive benefits, and more. Now, there are multiple packages available, so lock in the best seats at the lowest price today. Go to Reds.com/tickets to learn more about becoming a season ticket holder and guaranteed opening day. How about 2013 postseason tickets? Reds.com/tickets. So now Bronson Arroyo toes the rubber, inning number 6. He gave up 3 runs on 5 consecutive hits with 2 outs in the Brewers' 3rd inning and trails 3-1. Lucroy to lead things off, and he looks at ball 1 high. Lucroy 1 of 2 is singled and bounced out to second base. Hit a ton down the line. If it's fair, it's gone, and it bends foul. See, this Lucroy's got a chance. If this guy stays healthy, he's got a chance to do some major damage offensively as the Brewers' everyday guy for the next number of years to come. This guy can hit.
Well, overall, he's hitting .322, but I mean, he really kills left-handers. He's sitting up around 400 versus lefties. Nice power, 10 home runs, 55 driven in. He'll take a walk, got a good on-base percentage, up around .370. And he's nice behind the plate. Pitchers like throwing to him. He's got a good release. And they missed him when he was out. He had that freak injury where a suitcase fell on his hand when he was packing his clothes in Los Angeles.
The ball driven into left center. It'll bounce up and over the wall. A ground rule double by Lucroy. I mean, he can really hit.
It took him a long time to get back. He actually had an operation on the hand where they put a pin in. That ball was hit hard.
Runner at second to begin the 6th inning, and Schaefer, who's popped up to second and popped up to left, looks at strike one. Schaefer, the number 7 batter in the Milwaukee lineup, and Roland not so sure that he's not going to try and advance a runner with a bunt. Votto's not buying it. To the right side, he'll advance the runner that way. 1 out. All right, now decision time for the Reds. You're already behind 3-1 in the game. You have the number 8 hitter coming up, who's bounced to the mound and then doubled down the left field line in Bianchi. You have the pitcher Markham due up next, and they're not going to bat for him.
Well, you've also got decision time for the Brewers as well. Ron Renicky. You got a situation right here. You got the infield in. You put a suicide squeeze on right here to give yourself a 3-run lead with the pitcher coming up next.
Was plenty deep enough to bring in the runner from third. Heisey will make the catch. He'll airmail it out. A sac fly RBI, so they get the leadoff double. A ground ball advances a runner. A fly ball plates him, and it's a 3-run Brewers lead. It's good, solid baseball right there.
Yeah, that's one of those things that if you're Bronson Arroyo and you really are not much of a strikeout pitcher, he has no strikeouts yet tonight. That's a tough situation to pitch yourself out of. Runner on third, less than 2 outs. You bring the infield in, you hope you get a ground ball, but for those guys that can dial it up a little bit, like Latos and Cueto and Bailey, those guys have a much better chance of powering their way out of that situation.
Oh, and 1 to Markham, and now 0-2. And there's a breaking ball, strike 3 called, 2 in the inning. Brewers tack on a run. Their lead is 3. Well, take a break from work tomorrow. Why not? Cheer on the Reds. Their final home game of the season Take advantage of the Paycor Business Day special. You buy a $15 view level ticket, you get $10 in concession credits. 513-381-REDS or reds.com right now. And coming up after the game, Chris Welsh and company will break it all down on Reds Live. Brought to you by Kings Honda and the Kings Automo. Reds Live. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. Jay Bruce to lead things off against Markham. Bottom half of the 6th inning, and the Reds are trailing 4-1. Reds scored in the first. Brewers got 3 in the third. One more in the top of this 6th inning.
Boy, he's got good arm action on that changeup.
Bruce has struck out for the second straight time, 0 for 3 tonight. One out here in the 6th inning.
He's got good arm action on the changeup, and there it is again. He just kind of flips that ball in there, and Bruce is fooled on the speed. Good shot of that swing and a miss by our Performance Honda slow-mo cam. Like that look. Not the swing and miss, like the slow-mo.
One 0 to Heisey, who is struck out and lined out to center field, and he takes up high. 2-0.
The Brewers, beyond this year, obviously they're desperately trying to cling on to their playoff hopes. They've got that elimination number of 4 games. They've really got to run the table from here on out. I mean, including tonight's ball game. Well, they've got a big decision to make about the guy on the mound for them, Sean Markham. Free agent after this year. And the question is, will they give him a qualified offer in the new agreement between the owners and the players? That's what they've done away with type A and type B free agents. So if you want to keep Sean Markham around, you offer him a 1-year deal, what they call a qualified offer, which is the average salary of the top 125 players out there. So they estimate that'll be somewhere between $12 and $13 million. So that's what the Brewers have to ask themselves. Do you want to have this guy back who was injured this year? He's had some injury problems in the past for that kind of money, or do you go with some younger guys? And they've got a slew of younger players that have filled in this year that a lot of them have shown some promise.
There's still a lot of, rumors and whispers and so forth along those lines out there that the Brewers, even before they traded Zach Greinke, knew that when they traded him that they were still going to make a run at perhaps bringing him back as a free agent at the end of the year. He turned in another dominant performance last night for the Angels when he struck out 13 batters in 5 innings. Heisey chases another one up out of the zone, and he's going on strikes for the second time tonight. For a quick and delicious meal the whole family will enjoy, try JTM's beef or chicken Philly steak kits. That's JTM.
I said at the beginning of the game that Markham is not a strikeout pitcher. I was dead wrong. I mean, he had 100 strikeouts in 112 innings, and he struck out 7 so far tonight through 5 2/3.
Two down, Xavier Paul to batter.
I mean, he really is a clone of Bronson Arroyo, except for the big, slow, sweeping curveball. I mean, their deliveries are different, but it's really the same style and the same stuff as far as velocity and so on. I think some of Markham's deception comes from that little herky-jerky moves he makes right before he lets loose of the baseball. Has a nice slow delivery, and then right as he gets ready to loose that baseball, kind of twitches his body. Gives you a little quick move. Almost a head fake.
Here's that twitch.
Nice and slow. And then, whoop, give you a little twitch right there. I think I'm going to teach that to some of the guys down at the fantasy camp this year. Why don't you come on down? You could use a little work on that.
I need a lot of work. To Paul. Reds down 4-1, batting in the 6th. That ball hit hard, but right at Aoki, and the inning is over. 1-2-3 go the Reds. We go to the 7th. Markham pitching a dandy here tonight with a 4-1 lead. Of the Reds with the MLB.com and Bat 12 application. Text it back to 31826 or visit Reds.com for details. All right. A little AT&T trivia question for you here tonight. Who is the last player to be named the most valuable player and then win the World Series in the same season?
Now there's last year's MVP.
And this question is for either league. That's a pretty doggone good question. That one is down the right field line. And again on the first pitch in an at bat. Although it's no longer Bronson Arroyo out there on the mound, it's now Logan Ondrusik. But Aoki hit a home run on the first pitch of his at bat in the 3rd inning, and now first pitch double here in the 7th.
Well, he saw 3 pitches in his first at bat, 1 in the 2nd. He did walk in his last one. And the first one there. In fact, he surprised us last night, Tom, after Aroldis Chapman came in the ball game. and threw one over Aoki's head to the screen. Aoki promptly swung at the next pitch and popped it up to right field. So he's up there to swing the bat a little bit. Doesn't take a lot of walks.
So Bronson Arroyo goes 6 innings, allows 8 hits and 4 runs. It's only the second time in Arroyo has allowed more than 3 runs in a game. Going back to the beginning of August. Look at rolling. Are you kidding me? Bare hand 10 feet behind the bag and throws a P over there to Votto. My, is that nice.
Well, once he backed up, and of course he knew ahead of time that Ricky Weeks has good speed, but he stays right with it. I mean, he watches this ball right into his hand. I'll tell you what. If there's been somebody better playing third base, I'd like to see him play.
Straight away center field, and that baby's out of here. That is home run number 41 for Ryan Braun. So Andrusa comes in, gives up a double, and after an out, a 2-run big fly, and that makes it a 6-1 Brewers lead. Man, that ball was hammered.
Now trying to fool him with a curveball right there was Logan Andrusic, and we saw the very end of it, and look where it ends up. Thigh high to Ryan Braun, and you're only going to get away with so many of those.
Straight away center once more. This one will stay in a yard off the bat of Aramis Ramirez. 2 out. Ryan Braun, 41 home runs, now 110 runs batted in. He's 1 double away from 40 of those. He's 1 stolen base away from 30 of those. Well, what a year.
I mean, don't you say that every year about him?
Yeah, I mean, he just puts up the numbers, man. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. I mean, as far as just straight numbers go, he's one of the top 5 players in the game. Now, there might be guys you'll say, okay, I'd rather have him than Ryan Braun, although I don't know how many of them are out there either. But if you look at the back of that bubblegum card over these last 5 years since the day he walked into the major leagues, nobody's put up numbers in baseball like he's putting up. Corey Hart hit on the left hand by that pitch from Logan Andrusic, and trot slowly down to first base after a couple of glances over his left shoulder out at the Reds' right-hander.
I mean, he kind of strides right into that ball. I mean, he shows no fear at all about getting out of the way of that pitch. He's driving his hands into it. That pitch couldn't have been about 4 or 5 inches off the plate.
Looks like you have a visitor over here, Chris Welsh. Hall of Famer Marty Brenneman coming over to say hello with his 7th inning off over on the radio side.
Always nice to see your dad.
It is. He's got one of those really fancy new shirts he's been sporting around here for the better part of this summer.
It probably did cost more than my whole wardrobe.
You have a, you've got those shirts going that all the young men wear, where you have that. What's that?
I'm not interested in all that stuff that you've got to say to me. I came over here during the commercial break to read you a text that I've received tonight from Jim Volpenheim. And then off the air, I'll read you my response to it.
Now, Jim Volpenheim, just for those who didn't tune into your broadcast last night,
accused us of cheating.
That's my main man, Jimmy V.
Accused us of cheating.
He was on Tom's golf team, my team, the other day that you guys defeated.
He's like the 8 or 9-time champion, the Met champion here in Greater Cincinnati.
7 times.
7 times. My main man, Jimmy V.
He used the term, from what I understand,
this place is falling apart.
Pencil whipped. that we were pencil whipped by your team.
That's what he said.
I'm not sure what that means, but
that means, yes, you do. You know exactly what it means. It means you cheated, and Tom tried to alibi for him.
No.
Yes, you did, and so did you.
For him. No,
because we didn't have a celebrity on our team.
Well, you didn't, and you've admitted as much. And you know, we've been down this road.
We've been down this road.
Team did not.
They had to. We had none.
So we've decided not to log an official protest.
That's right.
This is interesting, what he wrote. What I responded to him was more interesting.
Now, I understand there's going to be a big article written in the Cincinnati Enquirer here in the next day or two. Outstanding, long-time writer who covered rock and roll music and concerts for a long time. Now the main feature writer at the Enquirer, Cliff Radel.
Correct.
Had a chance to spend an entire night in the booth with Marty Brenneman last night. The inside, the inner sanctum of Reds
Marty and Jeff Brantley and Yid and Seg.
Well,
not just Marty Brenneman.
Yeah, but I mean that was the real meat of the article is the fact that you've been there the longest, and so it's your kind of throne or booth or den in there, and it's going to be a great story. I'm looking forward to reading it.
Well, you'll probably be home to read it. Unlike us.
Swinging a foul ball back out of play.
What do you think about your son's TV schedule this year? I think it would match up perfectly, Marty. I don't know how you feel about, as you look into the future of you broadcasting, maybe cutting number of games down.
Let me interrupt you for 1 second. You know that blood is thicker than water.
Oh, yeah.
So you keep going.
Well,
because I've got a better topic than this to talk about that would be relative to you if you want to pursue this.
I think we've got 3 outs and time to go to break.
Thanks, Dad. Attaboy. You beat me down everywhere else except for this clap. All right, time to answer our AT&T trivia question. Who's the last player to be named the MVP and win a World Series in the same year? I was going to guess Albert Pujols, but we'll find out.
Wow, we got to go back a ways.
Golly day, 1988, Kirk Gibson with the Dodgers. Of course, he only had one at bat in that World Series. Get that home run off Dennis Eckersley to win the game in Game 1 at Dodger Stadium. One of the most memorable moments in the history of World Series play. Well, Sean Markham gives him an outstanding start tonight. Francisco Rodriguez will take over on the mound, but Markham, 6 strong, pitched out of a couple of jams tonight, allowed only 4 hits and 1 run. That run came in the first inning. Struck out 7, walked 3.
Well, he pitched very well, Markham did, but he had the atom ball working for him. And it certainly helps on a night when they're making contact, and when they do hit it hard, and the Reds did hit 4 balls right on the button that ended up in fielders' gloves, line drive outs. I mean, that's the game of baseball. Some nights those balls fall in, and you end up pitching 2 innings and giving up a big number.
Yep.
That is Sean. If the Brewers are able to hold on and win this ball game, Sean Marshall, this is his 9th try to get a win. So he's been really either pitching in bad luck or hadn't been pitching well enough to win, even though the Brewers have been on quite a roll over that time.
Two on Ryan Hannigan, and Rodriguez to the plate, and a ground ball at the shortstop Bianchi, and his throw is in time. 1 out.
Yeah, talking about the atom ball, those are balls that are hit right on the button, right at fielders. And Sean Markham had it working in the first inning. It was Scott Rowland that hit one, and Logan Schaefer tracked down. Chris Heisey hit one right back to Schaefer again. That ball almost knuckling out there, hit so hard. Xavier Paul rips one to right. Brandon Phillips also had one. So you have nights like that. Pitched pretty well overall, though, and he's got a nice lead right now, 6-1, as he's in the clubhouse taking a shower and hoping his bullpen can do the job.
There's Henry Rodriguez. First pitch swinging, hooks it to the right side. Weeks will gobble it up and throw him out. And Rodriguez sits down the first 2 here in the Reds' 7th inning. Cardinals trailing in the 5th inning, 2-0 at Houston. Certainly the Brewers are watching that scoreboard out in left center field the entire night. 4.5 back in the wild card going into play.
That is Bud Norris versus Chris Carpenter in that ball game.
Bud Norris has always been a Cardinal killer for whatever reason. Brought it up earlier, these Brewers virtually need to win every single game the rest of the way, and then they need a lot of help. Cardinals will be off tomorrow. Brewers will play here. Afternoon game at 12:35. And the Cardinals have tough competition in their last 6 games of the year. Granted, they're at home, but their last 6 games of the year against the teams with the best record in all of baseball. 3 against the Nationals, 3 against the Reds. Speaking of the Nationals, their lead once was 5-0. Now it's 5-3. Philadelphia batting in the bottom of the 7th inning. Let's bring you up to speed on the wild card standings. Atlanta already in. And this is going into play today. The Dodgers have already Well, I beg your pardon. They're still playing. They are in the top of the 9th inning out in San Diego with a big lead there. So Dodgers and Milwaukee hoping to get wins, hoping the Cardinals don't, and pull within 3.5 by night's end. And still on the fringe, Philadelphia and Arizona. Arizona kicked around Tim Lincecum last night. And those two teams will play in about a little less than an hour from now. Over in the American League, Detroit and Kansas City tied in the 8th. White Sox a 3-1 lead in the 4th over Cleveland. White Sox and the Tigers are tied atop the American League Central Division. And at wild card, Oakland a 5-3 lead over Texas early on. Tampa Bay leading Boston, trying to get closer. Yankees have won. Baltimore's leading. Brandon Phillips 0 for 3 has bounced out to first, struck out in line to center. 2 outs, nobody on. Reds only have 1 hit since the 3rd inning. They only have 2 hits since the 1st inning. And 4 in the game. And there's strike 3 called, and that'll end the inning. Brewers 4 out of 2 in the 7th, and now lead 6-1. Sports Ohio being brought to you by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the nation again in the U.S. News and World Report's 2012 Best Children's Hospitals. And by the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado and your Tri-State Chevy dealer. Got the karaoke cam going on here at Great American Ballpark. At the end of the 7th inning, playing that Journey tune, Don't Stop Believin'. That's a cute little bit they have going up there. Get shots of fans around the ballpark singing that song. Great tune. Sam LaCure takes over on the mound. There it is. They ought to take a shot at Chris Welsh sometime up here next year. Doing a karaoke camp. Tell you where they got great karaoke in this town is out there in Milford at By Gollies.
Really?
Oh man.
Are you a karaoke guy?
No, but we kind of have a little gentleman's agreement every now and again, and if we're able to sneak out sometime in the dead of winter on a Thursday night, that if we happen to stop in there, if we walk in the door, who's ever there has to do one song.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song?
Well, I'm not really good at any of them. I'll get up there and try a little Well, George Strait most of the time.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm sure that he would be appalled if he were able to pop in there sometime, but
A little blue clear sky or the chair. What do you like?
I'm trying to think what it was the last time we were in there.
Oceanfront property? Is that one of the names?
Yes, it is, in Arizona. And if you buy that, I'll throw the Golden Gate in free. Brewers bat against Sam LeCure here in the top of the 8th inning. Bianchi looks like a pinch hitter. Standing down there in the on-deck circle is Taylor Green with bat for Francisco Rodriguez, who works one perfect inning. Well, what a nice year Sam LeCure has had. This guy just gets better and better every season.
Well, he did. He did not have a very good spring training at all. In fact, he got beat around badly in spring, and the Reds decided, you know what? We don't care what you do down here in the month of March. What you did for us last year showed much more important than what you do down in Goodyear, and they stuck with him, and he has pitched some big-time innings for the Reds.
You know, Chris, he's one of those guys that, you know, he's thankful for the opportunity to be in the big leagues, but make no mistake about it. There's a confidence about him where he knows he belongs in the big leagues. He believes he could have a bigger and bigger role on this Reds team as the years come by, because he's not afraid of anybody or any situation. And whatever they ask him to do, he just takes the ball anytime.
Well, you know, on every scout sheet, normally when they fill out a report, there's oftentimes a column or a question mark that will say acquire with a question mark. And I guarantee you that everybody who's seen Sam LeCure pitch over the last few years, if the Reds ever made him available, there'd be people out there standing in line to get him, because he could plug a hole in a lot of different bullpens around this league.
In there, strike, and it's 0-2 on Taylor Green, batting for Rodriguez. LeCure checking the runner over at first, and now to the plate, and it's down and in. Top of the 8th inning, and the Brewers with a 6-1 lead. 6 unanswered runs from Milwaukee after the Reds scored in the first inning on an RBI double from Joey Votto. Bronson Arroyo retired the first 2 batters in the Milwaukee 3rd inning. Allowed a game-tying home run to Aoki, and that turned out to be the first of 5 consecutive Brewer hits, producing 3 runs, and they've never looked back. Green gone swinging, 2 are out. Well, the Reds aren't the only ones with playoffs on their mind. The Columbus Crew take the field Saturday night. They're only 1 point out of the postseason. We'll be playing the Philadelphia Union Saturday at 7:30. Check foxsportsohio.com for channel assignment in your area. Good luck to the Crew. Watch out on this first pitch. Aoki's been up there hacking early and often. Had a first pitch home run to right in the third inning to tie the game. Had a first pitch double to right and scored on the Braun home run in the seventh. This guy right here is going to get a lot of votes. I would assume would get a lot of votes for the National League's Rookie of the Year. We touched on it last night that obviously he has played for a decade in Japan before coming over. But I mean, the bottom line is he's no different than anybody else. It's his first season playing in the United States and playing Major League Baseball.
Well, very much like Ichiro Suzuki when he came over and played for the Seattle Mariners. He was a veteran of the Japanese league.
He won the Rookie of the Year and the MVP, didn't he, his first year?
Yes, he did. One of the fellows that has been mentioned a lot in the Rookie of the Year conversation is pitching tonight against Matt Cain. Wade Miley for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
What's his record now?
16-6, I believe. I know he's got 16 wins.
That's a big time year.
16-10. He's got more wins than Matt Cain. Matt Cain is 15-5.
So you figure he would start tonight, being a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, pitch Monday, and that'll be it for him. So including tonight, he'll have 2 starts remaining, trying to, in a perfect world, get to 18 wins. Three and one the count on Aoki. And that is a foul ball. The first time I can remember this entire year we are seeing the wave here at Great American Ballpark. To the count on Aoki, and Lacure a long look in. Okane to sign with Hannigan. Runner goes. Foul out of play. Again before Hannigan finally gives a sign to Lacure after taking a look inside the Reds dugout, and there's a tapper foul wide of third.
It seems with Aoki that if he wanted to do that all night long, he could.
Yep.
Just one foul after another.
Jumps all over this pitch, hooks it down the right field line in the corner. This will be the third extra base hit of the game for Aoki. And this one knocks in a run, his second RBI tonight, making it a 7-1 Milwaukee lead. A home run, a pair of doubles, and a walk tonight for Norichika Aoki.
Rare hiccup for the Reds bullpen. Aldrich came in last inning, gave up a couple of runs, and Brewers are threatening to do the same here against Sam Lacure.
You know, Chris, it's interesting you bring that up because, look, you can't keep everybody on your postseason roster. And, you know, there are going to be some very difficult decisions being made by Walt Jocketty, his inner baseball circle, Dusty Baker. Obviously the entire coaching staff as to what players are going to be on your playoff roster. And heck, for that matter, you can change them after, round to round. But when you're looking at a divisional series, best out of 5, do you keep an extra position player or 2 because it's a short series? Are you not so worried about how many pitchers you have? Votto calls off LeCure. That's out number 2 in the inning. And, you look down at that bullpen, and you've got guys like LeCure and Alfredo Simon that have been doing it for you all year long. Arredondo certainly would be included on that list. A guy like Andrusik, so good early on, but then was out for a while. There are a number of spots, I would imagine, when you consider that you're only going to need 4 starters in a division series. Heck, you're going to need 4 starters in it, no matter how long you go into the playoffs. So, if Mike Leake would be the 5th guy, I mean, is he capable of pitching out of your bullpen, or do you say, no, I'm not going to do that?
Those are all tough decisions to make. That's got to be really, I think the toughest thing for a manager anytime during the season is to tell a kid who's done a pretty decent job, tried hard, and for one reason or another they have to send him down to the minor leagues. Somebody else gets healthy and comes back off the list, or you make a trade and you send somebody down. Even in the minor league, even in spring training, sending guys down, that's never a good day. I've been on the other end of it. I would think telling a guy that he did not make the roster, that's got to really be a topper right there.
Nice play by Jay Bruce out and right, and that'll end the inning. Brewers get another run and lead 7-1.
Promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. This line drive coming right back at you, Bronson Arroyo. An easy snag for the Gold Glove Award winning Reds pitcher. Nice grab by Arroyo, one of many that he's had on the night. Not a lot to brag about for the Reds though tonight. Down by 6 to the Brewers. We go to the bottom of the 8th.
And they're going to bring in the right-hander. We saw him last night, Brandon Kinsler. Markham goes to front 6, allows 4 hits and a run. Rodriguez a perfect 7th inning with a strikeout, and now Kinsler. Been a good night for Zach Cozart. Has been on base all 3 times. Couple of hits and a walk. Reds only have 4 hits in the game, so Cozart with half of them. Votto to follow, and then Scott Rowland. Reds down by 6. Phillies are batting in the bottom of the 8th inning, trailing the Nationals 5-3, but the Phillies with 1 out have 2 on. Cardinals still trailing down in Houston in the 6th inning. 2-0. Reds and the Nationals with identical 93 up, 61 down records going into play. And both teams will play every day the remainder of the regular season. No more off days. Nationals in Philadelphia to wrap up that series tomorrow. Reds right here as their strike 3 call to Cozart. He's retired for the first time in the game. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't you say last night that the Nationals have to play the Phillies another series after they play the St. Louis Cardinals?
Yeah, they had them. They're right now in the series with them.
Yep.
And I think they're playing in Philadelphia now, so they will host the Phillies, I believe, at the end of the season.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
That's what we're talking about over here with the Phillies. Or with the Nationals, that is. Playing the Phillies, hosting them. You know, it's interesting, though. I mean, you know you want the #1 seed. Well, Chris Spire doesn't, but you can't tell your team not to go out there and play hard. You can't tell your pitchers don't go out there and try to throw zeros on the board. But at the same time, Davey Johnson, manager of the Nats, have already said that he was going to, once he clinches, he's going to give his guys a rest. So he has no qualms about it. He says, I know that I'll be playing teams that are still involved or whatever, but I was criticized before. I'm worried about my team, nobody else.
I don't blame him for that.
No.
I don't blame him for that at all. In fact, I've always thought that whole thing about, you have to play them out, and the teams that you're playing, if they're involved in a race, or how it might affect another team, how you're going out and playing against a particular club. As Votto drops one into right field, a base hit. Joey's been on base 4 times tonight. 2 hits, 2 walks. Chris, I just think that, they don't give enough credit. Clearly, they aren't in the playoffs this year the way they have the opening round set. I think that you and I both agree. You played for a long time. You and I have been broadcasting a long, long time. I just think in this game, more than any other game, there has got to be more reward for the teams that go out and play an entire season and win a division championship, and especially teams that are turning in the top 2 records in any given league. If Davey Johnson wants to sit his whole entire team while they're playing the Cardinals, and the Brewers want to get mad, and the Dodgers want to get mad, it's too bad.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel that way. I don't know if that's right or wrong, or good or bad or indifferent.
It is, but at the same time, you want to ingest some interest in baseball down towards the end of the season. That's why they've added the extra wild card. So, are you even giving the teams that win the division enough credit for doing what they did when they have to go on the road and play the first 2 games?
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I even started the whole thing by saying I just think there are multiple areas where the teams that go out and win division championships in this sport are not given enough of a consideration.
So what's the balance between keeping the interest in those secondary cities?
Well, I love the interest. You and I both love the additional wild card. I love the fact that you've got, or at least up until a number of days ago, you had 17 of the teams in Major League Baseball that still were within 5 games of a wild card. I love that. I'm just saying, as it pertains to telling Davey Johnson or any other manager whose teams won a divisional championship how they have to play or who they have to play is ridiculous.
I agree.
But, man, this added wild card, you got to admit, there would be no interest in St. Louis, No interest in Milwaukee. There'd be no interest at all in Los Angeles right now. Be no interest whatsoever in Arizona. Still within 4.5 games of the wild card. I'm not even sure how much interest there'd be in Atlanta right now, considering the Braves don't play the Philadelphia Phillies again.
Well, I
mean that the Braves don't play the Nationals again.
But if you add on to that, Tom, the success that wild card teams have had recently in the postseason, winning the World Series, that even adds another dimension to it. And hey, all you've got to do is get in. I mean, all this interest that these teams are just trying to grab that second wild card spot. Well, you know what they're guaranteed? One game. But it's better than none.
There's no doubt about that. High fly ball into right field. And Dolan retired for the 4th time tonight. 2 outs in the inning. Well, this extra wild card. I mean, that Friday, when you've got 1 game in the National League and 1 game in the American League to see who's going to advance on. I mean, that's excitement. Now, the American League is so much tighter right now than the National League.
Yeah.
Well, we told you going into play tonight, you've got a tie atop the American League Central between the White Sox and the Tigers. By the way, the White Sox are tied against Cleveland, and the Tigers won their game 5-4. This one in the air to deep center field and caught to end the inning. We go to the 9th. Reds down big. Hot dog play of the game. Scott Rowland, vintage Rowland.
That's as good as it gets right there. You've got a speedy runner, Ricky Weeks. He backs up and barehands it. And you thought Brandon Phillips was the only guy that could barehand a ball like that in the infield.
So we're set for the top of the 9th inning. Brewers with a 7-1 lead. Sam LeCure gives up a run and a hit in his only inning of work. Had a walk and a strikeout.
Had a good year Alfredo Simon has.
You're not lying.
I mean, just another one of these moves that Walt Jocketty made. And no one really thought much about it at the time. I mean, Simon became available on waivers from the Baltimore Orioles. Reds needed an arm. They put him on. They picked him up, put him right on the roster. Here he came north with the ball club, and he's only had 1 or 2 bad outings. Got a big arm. I mean, he is easy 94, 95.
Well, you know, it's interesting when you put it in the context. It was a move that not many people thought much of. You know, you turn back the clock to when the Reds jumped on the plane and left Arizona the final day of spring training and came out here. Todd Frazier was on the Major League Ball Club. And then we learned that the Reds had picked up Alfredo Simon from Baltimore, and that Frazier was going to land here with a team and then have to go to Louisville back to the AAA ball club. And certainly while it wasn't a major story, it was a pretty big deal for a lot of people, I think, Chris, that watched the kind of spring Frazier had for the Reds. That one popped up as out number 1. But it all worked out obviously quite well for both Alfredo and for Todd Frazier.
It really did. Simon in his 3rd full season as a major leaguer. He picked up 17 saves for the Orioles a couple of years ago. But this by far his best year from an earned run standpoint. His earned run is about half of what his career earned run average was coming into the season.
I know you had him on a number of your CBTS Tech Talks this year.
Very smart guy.
He really is. Speaks the English language beautifully. Two and one to Corey Hart. And now 3 balls and a strike. Hart tonight has been aboard twice. An RBI single in that 3-run 3rd inning. He's also lined out to center. Was hit by a pitch on the left hand his last at bat. .94-mile-per-hour fastball there. Gets a strike 2 to run the count full. Lucroy next. And he struck him out. Well, that's good old country hardball right there again. 94 followed by 95. Don't forget the Ohio Lottery drawings tonight at 11 o'clock. Powerball jackpot worth $200 million. Sean Markham right now the pitcher of record for Milwaukee. It would be his 6th win of the year to go along with 4 losses. Bronson Arroyo had slipped to 12-9 with a defeat. Unless the Reds can rally, big time rally in the bottom of the 9th inning. Lucroy has been on base 3 times in the game. Brewers have 7 runs on 11 base hits. Lucroy singled in the 2nd inning, bounced out in the 3rd. Doubled to left center and scored in the 6th. Drew a walk in the 7th. In the air, driven in a deep right field. Bruce at the wall, and it's gone. So, well, we brought it up earlier. I mean, it's 2 more RBIs, or 1 RBI tonight, 3 hits in a game. Lucroy. He has played in 90 games and has 56 runs batted in. That is doing it now.
And he's batting 6th in the order also. You got to figure that he was. Look at Jay Bruce getting up right here, using the wall to propel himself up way over the wall, making a nice effort right there. But Lucroy, you know, you got to figure that he was a little worried when you break a bone in your hand. And we told you about that freak injury with get a suitcase drop on it. Had a pin put in it. Was out for a long time. You never really know if you're going to come back strong that year because you're not able to really strengthen your arm or your wrist while you're in a cast. I was watching him take batting practice yesterday. He's got a nice approach.
One on Schaefer, and it's taken inside. 2 balls and a strike. The Brewers have hit 3 home runs in a game here tonight. They got the home run to tie it at 1-1 by Aoki in the 3rd. A long 2-run home run by Ryan Braun to straightaway center in the 7th. And now the opposite field home run by Lucroy against Simon in the 9th. And the hits just keep on coming tonight. For Schaefer, that's his first. For the Brewers, it's their 13th, and he will go into 3rd standing up. My, can he run.
He gets a pitch inside and rips it right inside the line. Second time we've seen that happen, right down the line. Norichika Aoki had one down there off of Logan Ondrusek. A batter or two before the home run that Braun hit the center field.
Reds had a 1-0 lead in this ball game, and now it is 8-1 Brewers. That'll be the final out in the 9th. So the Reds will bat in the bottom of the inning. Lucroy and the Brewers, a big night on offense. Seventh inning, our Nissan drive of the game, and man, was it a drive to straightaway center field by Ryan Braun with a man aboard against Logan Ondrusek. Home run number 41 on the year for Ryan Braun. Well, they got that hand thing going, don't they? Had it with a third base coach and then had it with Aramis Ramirez. Travis Ishikawa taking over at first base. And a new pitcher on the mound is Jose Verez. He will follow Markham, Rodriguez, Kinsler, and now Verez.
Verez a 1-2-3 eighth inning last night. He set down Bruce Heisey and Stubbs to take care of the Reds in the 8th last night. Back-to-back nights for this right-hander.
8 runs, 13 hits, no errors, 9 men left on base for the Brewers. Reds have 1 run, 5 hits, that's all. (12:35) tomorrow, our first pitch. The final home game of the 2012 regular season. Reds will play their final 6 on the road. 3 in Pittsburgh over the weekend. Next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in St. Louis. Big Matt Latos will get the ball tomorrow. Gunning for win number 14. Peralta has been an outstanding find for the Brewers. But Latos just about as good as you can be in that clinching game on Saturday over the Dodgers.
Well, he was really feeding off the adrenaline that was at this ballpark. I mean, the full house, the energy, you could kind of feel the clinch coming. You knew there was a party headed afterwards.
Again, you look at the Reds starting rotation and the way, at least right now, they've set it up, and it's subject to change. I mean, you're going to have enough time to play around between now and the end of the regular season. If you wanted to adjust, then what looks to be right now the 4-man rotation in order of Johnny Cueto, Bronson Arroyo, Matt Latos, and then Homer Bailey. Heisey draws a walk to begin the bottom of the 9th inning. So now Xavier Paul, Heisey on board for the first time tonight. Paul trying to do the same thing. I've been meaning to ask somebody, what is this song? Do you have any idea what that is? You know, you have young kids at home.
No, I've heard it, but I can't.
Well, I've heard it about 18,000 times. I'm just kind of curious what it is. But I keep meaning to ask somebody. Obviously, it's a popular song.
You know, there's an app you can put on your phone. When that song comes on, you press the button, you hold it up, it'll tell you what song it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Or I can just walk down the hall and ask the dude who runs the scoreboard, right?
Yeah. Just leave me alone.
One and one on Xavier Paul. Well, you know, this date in baseball history out there in the scoreboard, and I know a lot of people are out there that will remember what the Baltimore Orioles staff did in 1971. There's a base hit into right field by Paul, so a walk and a single to begin the Reds' bottom of the 9th inning. But I'm not so sure that we will ever see what happened again with that Baltimore Orioles starting rotation in 1971. Consider this. Here we are in September the 26th. On this date that year, Jim Palmer became the 4th Orioles pitcher in their rotation to win 20 games in 1 year. The others being Dave McNally, Pat Dobson, Mike Cuellar. And on this date in 1971, Jim Palmer became the 4th Orioles pitcher with 20 wins that season. That's amazing.
Now, they won 101 games that year, the Orioles did.
mean, we look at this Red starting rotation, and you've got Cueto with 18. You've got Latos with 13. You've got Bailey with 13. You have Arroyo with 12.
Well, you also
guys with 20.
You also have to remember that relief pitchers back in those days didn't play anywhere near the important part that they play now. And you got a 4-man rotation where they're all getting a ton of starts.
Yeah, what they make probably about 40, 42, 43 starts.
They made McNally made only 30.
Wow. You're kidding.
Everybody else made at least 37. Cuellar had a high of 38.
Starts and he got 20 wins. How many did he lose?
5. Then you have Mike Cuellar pitching 292 innings. Pat Dobson 282. Jim Palmer 282. He didn't need relievers.
No, you didn't.
That's a lot of innings right there.
How many complete games of the 4 guys in 120? Well, let's use the first 3 guys, because you said McNally only made 30 starts that year. So those other 3, Cuellar, Dobson, Palmer, how many complete games did they combine for?
70.
70 complete games, 3 guys?
No, 4 guys had 70 games.
4 guys, okay.
Yeah, McNally had 11. Jim Palmer had 20. Pat Dobson had 18. And Cuellar had 21. Complete games.
Man. 3 and 1 on Hannigan. First 2 on here in the Reds' 9th inning. Should be a double play ball. No. Wasn't hit hard enough. Well, maybe the shortstop was going to tap the bag and then throw to first, but far in front of the bag came Bianchi to get it. So the runners advance. Heisey to third. Paul on to second. And D.D. Gregorius, the shortstop from Curacao, will bat. Got to make sure that Rick Kranitz comes out there to double check on the scouting report on D.D. Gregorius.
Well, the Brewers got to figure they've got this game pretty much wrapped up, but Jose Veras doesn't want to give these runs up. I'm not so sure it warrants a trip to the mound. Rick Kranitz has a FaceTime contract.
So D.D. settling in from the left side, and here comes a pitch from Veras, and it's a fastball in the dirt. Nationals batting in the top of the 9th inning. What was a 5-0 lead is down to a single run over the Phils. We'll get one more crack at him in the bottom of the 9th. Houston 2-0 leaders over the Cardinals. Both Milwaukee and the Dodgers hoping to gain ground tonight in the wild card with time running out. Off the end of the bat, right at Ramirez, and Gregorius thrown out. The Reds are down to their final out of the 9th. Brandon Phillips 0 for 4. It really is amazing the difference. I mean, outside of the obvious where you've won a divisional championship and all that goes with a great season like the Reds have had here in 2012 compared to the way things finished up last year. But, you know, just the very thought of a day like tomorrow, the last game of the year. You know, the last few days, Chris, everybody would have been packing up their locker. They'd have been getting a lot of their personal things together to get ready for when they, you know, arrive after the final road game of the year on Wednesday night. Team charter to be getting back to Cincinnati very, very late. And a lot of guys the next day would have their cars loaded up, their trucks loaded up to jump in their car the following day and drive back to wherever it is they might live.
You're right.
And now, you know, tomorrow it'll be another day at the office here because everybody knows they're coming back.
You're exactly right, Tom, because it's funny. You play on a team that is below 500. You've been out of it. Say you're the Cubs, or even worse, the Astros. I mean, guaranteed their cars are packed. I mean, they've been looking to the end of the season for a month or so. Maybe not the rookies that have just been called up, but the everyday guys. You figure they're going to be back somewhere next year in the big league. They probably can't wait for the season to get over. Go home and make your own friends, is the old saying.
Tapper down to Ramirez, and that is that. So after the Reds scored in the first inning, it was all Milwaukee the rest of the way. Brewers score 8 runs, getting 13 hits, and even this series at a game apiece. 8-1 our final. Reds Live, the postgame show, coming up next. You're watching Fox Sports Ohio.